we keep speaking about 5G. The next paper presentation will be on the increasing complexity of 5G technology. Is this an issue for competition? And it's a paper written by Professor Parcu and Niccolò Innocenti, research associate in the European University Institute.
Let's see if we can move the slides. Let's go to the second. We discussed the complexity of 5G. I will introduce very quickly, and then Niccolò Innocenti will explain the research we have done. Let me say that clearly we are in a technology, mobile communication that has used evolution and revolutions. And there has been a change of generation practically every decade. However, the novelty here is that the fifth generation is probably a much deeper change than in the past, and will go well beyond the telecommunication industry. That's the point. We were discussing a second ago Internet of Things that will facilitate smart homes, smart cities, and so on. Then we will have effect on healthcare, vehicle automation, smart farms, augmented reality, virtual reality. All these things will be addressed by 5G. That means will be impacted by 5G. That means that for the first time we can maintain that a mobile technology can be defined like a general purpose technology, as was discussed also in the previous paper. That means that 5G, if the promise is maintained, will be, I don't want to exaggerate, but on the same level of things like electricity or internet has an impact on all the industries. This is the potential. So it will be pervasiveness across most sectors of the economy, will have a fast evolution, and will create new products and new process innovation. So it will be a very quick movement. This debate has already started. This expectation is already there, but now there is another debate that is starting. That is a concern because the technology is particularly complex, and is growing in complexity. There will be barriers to newcomers. There will be barriers to entry. It's a technology that will change global competition. That's the dimension we studied in this paper. Okay. So apparently, if you look at the list of companies that have patents, you have a feeling that there are a handful of major companies, from Huawei to Qualcomm to Intel to Sharp, Nokia, LG, that have the patents. This will hamper global competition. So the question is, how can we evaluate and address the issue if this complexity of 5G, that is, as I said, very, very strategic, will have implications for international competition and innovation? How will be the countries ready to participate to this game? And that's what we try to start analyzing in this paper. And I leave to Niccolò showing the kind of research we've done.
Yeah. Thank you. As Pierluigi just told you, the paper is focused on the concept of economic complexity and follows the concept of complexity developed by Hidalgo. A concept that is based on two main characteristics regarding the complexity of countries or regions or cities, depending on which one is your unit of analysis. The diversity, meaning how many different technological specializations are present in a given country, and the ubiquity, meaning how common or how rare are these technological specializations. The idea is that if a country holds many different technological specializations and those specializations are also the least ubiquitous or the most rare, the complexity of the country will be higher. The same may be applied to technologies. So if a technology need many different technological specializations to be developed and to advance, and these technological specializations are also rare, this technology will be more complex. In this regard, there are a few studies investigating how the economic complexity impact competition. Of course, it's expected that more complexity lead to oligopolies and few actors or few countries developing and holding crucial technologies as the 5G may be considered. And this will become not only a matter of research concern, but also a matter of policy concern. For this reason, we explore the economic complexity related to the 5G technology. How we worked to investigate this economic complexity. We started to identify the technological categories that are related to the 5G, and for this purpose, we followed a literature review. Then we downloaded all the patents from the USPTO database related to these technologies, and we ran a co-occurrence analysis on these patents to enlarge the set of technologies to those technologies that are strictly related to the 5G. At this point, we ended up with a data set of few less than 750,000 patents. And we needed to refine this data set because it is too large and probably comprise also patents that are not related to the 5G, not strictly related to the 5G. For this reason, we ran a search through all these patents in the title and the abstract for the keywords related to the 5G, like 5G, 5th generation, and so on. We ended at this point with a final data set of more than 17,000 patents. From the largest data set, some points need to be acknowledged and already give some indication. The number of patents in these technologies related to the 5G strongly increased during the period of the analysis, that is from 2010 till 2019, passing by 50,000 at the beginning of the period till more than 100,000 at the end of the period. And another interesting point is that the average number of technological fields in each patent increased, becoming almost the double, from 1.2 to almost 2.5 at the end of the period. We then focused properly on diversity and ubiquity, and for this reason we measured the specialization, the technological specialization of the 5G. Here you may see some first graph regarding the diversity and ubiquity on the overall period of our analysis of the most innovative countries regarding these technologies. As you can see, there is a clear negative pattern between diversity and ubiquity, and this is expected in the literature. In fact, those countries characterized by a large number of different specialization, as the US, are usually also characterized by, on average, the rarest technologies. In this graph, on the lower right quadrant, you can see those that may be considered as the most complex countries in terms of 5G, those owing the most rare and most diversified specialization in terms of 5G, as the US, China, Japan, and South Korea. As you can notice, there are no European players in the lower right quadrant, even if few of them are quite close to the intersection of diversity and ubiquity, like Sweden, Finland, and Germany. For this reason, we went on and we did a further analysis, merging together world regions. Analyzing and merging together all the European countries, all the Asian countries, and the American, and all the rest on as the others. In this case, you can immediately notice how Europe is really close to Asia respect to the previous graph, where the countries were considered in isolation, and is not so far away also from the America. This is really an interesting point, and we may go to draw some first conclusion. Of course, there is a first evidence regarding the fact that the number of specialization needed to develop the 5G is increasing over time, and that few countries are able to possess so many different specialization to be really able to advance and develop the 5G, and that the divide between followers and leaders is increasing over time. In this regards, there are only few countries, the most advanced countries, that are able to develop the 5G and participate to this race to lead and develop and go on the development of the 5G. Regarding the results, need to be acknowledged the fact that the 5G technology leadership is owned by US, China, Japan, and Korea, and that need to be considered the weaknesses of single European countries, of course, with some exception like Sweden, Finland, and so on. However, what seems particularly interesting is that the fact of that the position of Europe could increase significantly if we consider Europe as a whole. And this may lead to the idea that Europe may develop the right incentive to cooperate in the development of the 5G, to enable the capacity of European countries to stay on the frontier of technological development of the 5G.
So thank you very much. Now we will pass to the discussant of the paper, who is Maria Alessandra Rossi della Università Gabriele D'Annunzio.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and excuse me if I'm not participating to the entire conference. So I'm going to basically give two main comments and a few minor suggestions with the on the basis of the idea that this is a preliminary work, and so I'll give also some more bold suggestions than I would give in normal situations. So let me start by a brief, very brief summary of the paper, and so as to highlight its main strengths. I think, so the core of the paper has to do with the relationship between the complexity of the 5G ecosystem and competition, barriers to entry. I remind this because one of my main comments it's exactly on the notion of complexity that it is used. And I think there are three main findings of this paper at this stage. So hopefully I'm confident that more will come. So first, there is evidence of increasing complexity of the 5G ecosystem, as we've just heard. There is evidence of a change through time of complexity indicators that is interesting per se. And there is also some emphasis that perhaps in the presentation was not as stressed on the information we can gather from this analysis on the role of EU within the global race. So I think this is the core of the paper, and it also relates to the main strengths, because I think that this perspective is new, in particular, the view of complexity that is brought to bear on the notion of 5G, and I'll get to this in a second. So I couldn't find other papers that share the same notion of complexity in relation to 5G. So I think it does provide some new insight. And also I think it has an important policy perspective that is, it adds something to this policy discourse on the reasons why we need some coordinated EU level action. And I will have something to say also on this. So let me start from really, I think, two notions of complexity that are relevant for this analysis. So this analysis is an analysis of, in general, knowledge patterns and barriers to entry. And the notion of complexity that is used in the paper is a notion of complexity that I would dub knowledge complexity. So it's technological complexity. What I mean by this is that the paper looks at knowledge inputs that go into the production of patents. And this is one legitimate view that is well established in the literature, not in relation to 5G, as I said. But there is another view that is even more established, and it's a view of product complexity. And this view is a view that looks at patents as inputs into products. So you see there are two views. In a sense, this paper looks at the inputs that go into patents. The other view looks at patents that go into complex products and measure this as the number of patents that bear on a single product or with some notion of modularity. And the reason why I'm drawing attention on this is that this is not a minor difference with respect to the literature, because when we talk about barriers to entry in this literature, in this patent literature, mostly the second notion is used. And it is really a well-established result that when you use the second notion in complex technological areas, patents can be an obstacle to further innovation and can be an obstacle, a barrier to entry. So my first suggestion that has to do with this double possibility to define complexity is to clarify much better than it is currently done in this preliminary version of the paper, what is the added value? And I think there is an added value of the notion of complexity that is used in the paper with respect to barriers to entry. Because in a sense, you go even further, even more upstream in the chain of production. And so this is something that it's important to stress with respect to what has been said and done on patents and 5G. And here's where I take a perspective, the perspective that this paper is really still in a preliminary form. I hate those referees that ask you to do a different paper from what you've done. So I normally don't say that. But it would be interesting to further pursue this notion of the relationship between the 5G ecosystem and complexity by looking at both aspects, by using both notions of complexity. So this is a long project, of course. It's not something that can be done in a second, but it's something to think about, I think. Second point has to do, again, with complexity, but with the complexity indicator. So as you said, use the Hidalgo-Osman concepts of diversity and ubiquity. And I think since one important contribution of the paper, I think, is really to open this sort of complexity perspective on 5G that is relatively less explored so far. I think it's very important to make an effort to talk to non-specialists of this particular field of complexity. So clarify the main terms used, diversity, ubiquity, but also technological field, technological class, etc. So be much more precise so that it's easier to persuade the reader of the added value of what you're saying. And in this regard, another very important point to stress and clarify is to explain why an increase from 1.2 to 2.5 technological classes is significant. So what's the overall number of technological classes? How can we be sure that this is an important increase? And I think that would strengthen the argument. The other thing that I was trying to stress is that it is important to clarify to the reader why an increase from 1.2 technological classes to 2.5 is quantitatively significant. So explain, like, provide some reference numbers. And my last, more important point, I think, is the relationship, concerns the relationship between complexity and standardization. So one could hypothesize that standardization leads to only some subset of technological fields to be important. Is this true? I don't know. I actually don't know. But this is an important point to explore to understand whether this diversity of knowledge really can hamper, can constitute a barrier to entry. And relatedly, is ubiquity / rarity really valuable in the context of 5G? So is it really, if we have standardized products, is this rarity of knowledge something that it's really important? So these are not rhetorical questions from my side because I technically don't know. But I think it's by looking at these questions, you could get a more persuasive argument and so explore further the main perspective that you provide that is important and interesting. A few minor comments. On the policy side, I think it's worth to elaborate, but I'm sure you plan to do that, to elaborate more on the importance of a coordinated action in 5G. So this is something that could be easily added. Very minor, graph 3 provides information on co-assigned patents, and I'm a bit puzzled because I'm not sure why you would focus only on that subset. Also, many data are provided as simple averages, but you could use other measures of distribution that provide a more nuanced view. But again, I know it's preliminary work. And finally, you could also clarify whether you consider your estimates a lower boundary for complexity, because you've not the pool of patents you consider is necessarily not the entire universe of patents relevant for 5G, but I don't know if that's a correct interpretation actually. So I'm done.
Thank you very much. There is one question from Professor Neef that might somehow work together with some of your comments. It is, how do you consider the role of coordination, cooperation, and standardization from a European network perspective? So maybe standards, role of European network perspective. So maybe Jack, you can add a little bit to these comments. So I don't know, Nicolo, Professor Parku, as you prefer.
I think I will answer one. Let me, okay, thank you very much. Very nice comments as usual, Alessandra. Thanks, and thank you for the question. Alessandra, we think about your comments are very, very interesting and very deep. Thanks. Clearly, you are right. There is a second notion of complexity that is related to the number of patents. Let me say that behind all this discussion, we are beginning to scratch the issue of how important are, what is behind the number of patents. Somehow we are trying to open the box if we can. And obviously we are using the literature that exists and we have to look at the different angles. So your suggestion is very good and very right, and this work will continue in that direction. You are right that we have to explain better technology field, classes, and so on. And we were discussing this with Nicolo and with Chiara, and we will do it with more detail in the next version of the paper, so that is more clear. Also, your remarking something about why at some point we talk about cooperation among countries in the patent is because one of the angles that this paper is dealing with is this international dimension of competition. So there is only a piece of that is a post that we put there, but we wanted to show that it's important also, this international dimension. Clearly you are right, and this, I think we are even a bit surprised by how interesting is this result on EU, and we have to elaborate on this. By the way, EU is discussing at this very moment, is beginning a discussion about the new recommendation on horizontal agreements. I think that is very timely to come up with a paper like this that discuss how European countries could benefit if they cooperate on, I mean, that is showing that if they were all together somehow, they would be much more competitive in the world in this dimension, at least the dimension that we are looking at. So it's interesting to explore the regulatory and competition dimension. Then finally, the question I wanted to come back at the end is the standardization that you both raised. And clearly, here there is a tension, because standardization is a way to, if you want, to simplify things for everybody in a sense. But we don't have many doubts on the fact that European countries somehow could be at a point in which they can produce some goods. Even countries that are not particularly developed in innovation or can produce goods once they are, in the end, Apple has been producing the best smartphones all over the world. But the point is, if this innovation that we are looking at is the innovation that really brings the brain of the innovation to a country, to a region. So somehow standardization comes a bit late, allow you to become an implementer. And even probably you are not the lead implementer if you are not invented, but you are the last implementer somehow. So we think that standardization is important, but it's not the solution to the kind of issue we are dealing with. But I think we'll have to consider better the issue in the paper, show what we mean about this. So somehow we think that this, and that's why also we think that ubiquity at the beginning of the innovation is important. It's important to be the one that pushes the innovation further on. So we think that these are the issues, but thank you very much. These are very good comments, and they definitely will help to improve the paper. Niccolo, if you have anything else.
Really, thank you about the comments that were really interesting, really important, and we will work on and double check some issue and work on this line of research that will for sure improve the clarity and the relevance of the work, for sure. Thanks.
My pleasure.
I'd like to pose a question, which is not directly related to the paper, but maybe with the insights you got working on the paper, you can provide us some further information. I mean, this conference is about sector coupling, but at the same time, we see a geostrategic decoupling and this idea of from a technological point of view, and maybe even further decoupled from China. And of course, you made this geographic analysis of the patents, Asia, the United States, Americas, Europe. I mean, do you see room for this decoupling of China and all the, for instance, the measures to exclude the use of Huawei equipment in 5G? Do you think that precisely because of what you see in terms of patents, that explains somehow the decoupling? And yeah, I mean, what your insights? I mean, after analyzing all these patents, this geographical scope, I mean, what is your reaction to this geostrategic movement and the technological decoupling of China?
Well, let me answer one thing first. This is a paper that feels very well with sector coupling, because if there is a technology that is moving to sector coupling, is 5G. Because sure. It's really that technology to start a lot of sector coupling. And in fact, Gunther paper before was about this somehow. So that's one thing. Decoupling, I mean, geographic decoupling. Clearly, 5G is becoming a very geopolitical issue. There is a strong tension. Clearly, we don't know how we will end up the next presidential election in the US, and we'll see what will happen in a while, but clearly there is a race on 5G that is probably the most controversial and hot race that we have seen in many years. Because in mobile, for instance, before there was a clear, a sort of entente cordiale among all the regions, in which some leadership in certain areas of the US was clear, of the US companies of Silicon Valley was clear, and the others would help. 5G is a new game somehow, and it's too important. So we are seeing this, and also we see this worry by the US, because also all this polemic against Huawei, partially there is something true, but probably they have a geopolitical origin more than a real cybersecurity origin. So it's very difficult to say what will happen. And somehow our paper talking about complexity and the global race is telling us something about Europe. Europe will be a player if managed to gather resources. If not, we risk to be somehow taken in the middle of a technological war on a top general purpose technology. And that would be really a very serious problem for Europe.